Most sectors showed exactly the kind of cyclical downturn that you typically see precipitated by an economic shock. And then you have jetliners, which are more than half the entire business of aircraft. And they actually accelerated their growth because it became a real safe haven for a lot of people and their money. As a big industry, we're pretty much the only ones who kept growing through this terrible recession. There's a number of reasons for that, led by large jets. In a lot of ways, they benefited from this unusual bifurcation, this structural split. Cash got real cheap and fuel got really expensive. It's the only time we've seen an economic downturn where commodity prices stayed stubbornly high. So as a result, people had the motive to refleet. Airlines had the motive to buy new jets to replace older, less efficient ones. And they had basically free cash or near free cash. And you had a lot of large financial institutions that were quite interested in getting into this business because they had access to 0.1% rate cash and frankly nowhere else to park their money because the other segments of the economy were pretty depressed. So we had this massive uptick in jetliner demand. Can it stay like that? There are many variables that are tough to predict. Interest rates, for example, fuel prices, and of course other investment opportunities. It could be that as the stock market comes back, people will take their cash and go play elsewhere. But from the standpoint of the business right now, we've just weathered the worst economic storm since World War II. That's pretty enviable. You look at the civil aerospace business, and of course there are many subsegments, but the biggest by far is large jetliners, Airbus and Boeing. They did just fine. They're the ones who actually grew by a remarkable 29% last year alone, a tremendous jump. But you look at business jets, they fell by about a third. Civil rotorcraft fell by about 20-something%. Regional aircraft, regional transports fell by about a third. In short, everybody except the large jets suffered exactly the kind of cyclical drop that you'd associate with an economic downturn of this magnitude. You look at the supply chain and you look at where there's likely to be M&A activity. It really comes down to the traditional producers, US and Europe. We haven't gotten to a point where the emerging producers really have enough of an industrial base to warrant significant M&A activity. There'll be some, but it really comes down to the US and Europe. I expect a lot of it will be focused on Europe because, of course, of the structural issues associated with accessing capital and the weakness of domestic military markets over in Europe. I guess if there was one message to impart to the aerospace industrial base, it's diversification, whether it's in terms of customers or in terms of global markets or in terms of products or in terms of capabilities. Anything you can do to hedge your risk to individual program failure and maximize your opportunity to take advantage of successful programs and customers, absolutely key.